Hello, class. Welcome to week 7. Hey, we're getting there. We are 7 weeks into this class. We have 3 more weeks to go after this because we end in week 10, as you recall. And yes, this is Professor Wadzak, and I know I look a little different. I got these braids. My daughters were having fun and they braided my hair. So it is still me, but I know it's a different look. They had a great time though. So anyway, I just wanted to go over some important things we're doing this week and some important concepts as well. As you may know already, this week you are actually writing your own essay question for essay 2. Over the past couple weeks, we have been reading and discussing in our class sessions and writing on the discussion forums each week, and also writing in your weekly writing assignments, all about the concepts of gender and identity. How we define it, what is it, what contributes to these things, what is gender, what is identity, how do these things differ from each other, what makes a woman, what makes a man, how do sex and gender differ, how do sex, gender, sexual orientation differ, can these intersect, are they separate? These are all the different questions we've been wrestling we've been wrestling with these past couple of weeks, and also what is our identity? Like, what defines us? There's that Beverly Tatum essay about the complexity of identity. Who am I? How do we define ourselves? And how does society define us? And how do those things come together and intersect? So that could make a great basis for different ideas in your essay on how our identity is created through such things as sex, gender, and sexual orientation. As you recall, Tatum discussed 7 different systems of differentiation among people in our society. And of course, there are more than 7, but those are major ones that she noted. And she noted that those systems of differentiation are, they tend to be the things that make us feel as if we are who we are, that we define our identity and our sense of ourself and how we differ from other people. So in other words, what makes us special, how we're different from other people. And that concept of differentiation, though, of course, comes through our interaction with society, because society is what says, oh, hey, this is different. You're not like me, you're an other. And depending on what type of other you are, you may have privileges, you may not have privileges, you may have advantages, you may have disadvantages. But of course, it's a spectrum. Not everybody's disadvantaged, not everybody is advantaged. We have advantages in some realms and disadvantages in others. We are that complexity. The 7 different major systems that she noted of differentiation going on in our society include such concepts as sex and gender, and sexual orientation, and religion, and race/ethnicity, age, physical ability/mental ability, socioeconomic factors, socioeconomics in general, and I think, did I say them all? Might have. Yeah. So just think about those things and how you've defined yourselves in terms of those, and how society determines and advantages and disadvantages certain identities based on those systems of differentiation and the privilege or lack thereof that tend to accompany them. So, interesting things we're working with, and all of these different readings from weeks 5, week 6, and even this week, week 7, will contribute to the thought process you're using for your essay and the substantiation for ideas that you come up with for your essay. So, for essay 1, I actually asked you a question, and as you recall, that question was, in our society, who gets to be lucky? And how could we make more people more lucky? So that essay prompt consisted of 2 questions. For essay 2, I am not assigning you an essay question. You are coming up with that essay question yourself, which is kind of neat because that's really quite a challenging task. But you all are smart, and I know you're up to it. It will be hard. It will require lots of thought, lots of pondering, and reviewing these essays that we've read, and returning to the discussion forums, and maybe interacting with people on them to try to figure out what your thoughts are on these concepts we've been studying, and also to review these informal writing assignments that we've had over the past couple of weeks. For example, you did a summary of chapter 12.1, the sex and gender chapter from the Introduction to Psychology the textbook. That gave us a lot of information, and you may want to refer to that for sociological definitions or psychological definitions of sex, gender, and sexual orientation, which may play into your concepts of these things. We did another writing assignment. It was a free write, as you recall, about a couple different articles and videos that we were reading for week 6 and watching. So that free write allowed you to just write whatever connections that came to you as you were reading through those essays and as you were watching the videos. And that differed from the summary because the summary was just point, 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 point. This is what's in the chapter. And that's what summaries are. They don't have our personal reactions and thoughts and connections, okay? It is just a summary. It's just a restatement of what is in the item you're summarizing, but in fewer words. So you say what the author said, but in fewer words. You don't use the author's words unless you use a quotation, in which case, if you're using the author's words, you put those author's words in quotation marks. That's very important. You don't want to plagiarize, because plagiarism is when you use somebody else's words and you don't put them in quotation marks and you don't indicate that they're not your words. It's very important always to quote then and indicate the source, which you will be doing for essay 2 as you did in essay 1. You have to put those other people's words in quotations and you need to cite the source. You need to introduce the quotation with a sentence of your own, followed by a colon, and then quotation marks for the quotation. It's around there. It's around the entire quotation. And then at the end, in parentheses, you'll put a page number, if there is a page number that you found the quotation on. If there's no page number, you don't include that. If there's a paragraph number, if it's like something off the web, sometimes there might be a paragraph number. You'd include that in parentheses at the end of that quotation, outside of the quotation marks and before the period. But if there's no paragraph number and no page number, then you don't need to include that parenthetical reference at the conclusion of a quotation. Now, if you did not introduce the author's name and the title of the work from which you were taking the quote, then you would include that information in the parentheses at the after the end quotation marks of your quotation and before the final period of your sentence. Now, if you use the author's name, and there's only one author who wrote that quotation, then you probably don't have to put the title of the work because that could go in your works cited page. This is all MLA format stuff. And I actually have a whole folder this week that will explain that to you. It is right, let's see, where is it? Right, if we're looking at the page, this is our week 7 information. The week 7 readings, that's some more readings that will feed into our essay 2. Week 7 videos, again, will feed into essay 2. Essay 2 draft. Here we go. How to draft and how to use MLA. That's the folder I was talking to you about. And that is right above the week 7 share 2 annotations and your very own essay 2 question and thesis statement discussion forum, which you will be answering. You've got to do share 2 annotations that you made on quotations from any 2 of the following week 7 readings. They're listed here. And the videos, you're going to have also videos, yes. So you can share quotations from videos or readings from this week. You need a total of 2 annotations, and that each annotation has to come from a different source. So you can't use one source for both annotations, if that makes sense. All right, great. We also are doing websites with graphics too, so that's a little fun. And so that counts as a reading also. All right. And this talks about using quotation marks there and explaining why you annotated those questions. That's important. Just don't put the quotation by itself. You got to explain why you annotated it, what you annotated, and why. All right. And then 3 for discussion forum is you get to come up with your own essay question for essay 2, which we've been talking about, and your own thesis statement. The thesis statement is the answer to the essay question. So the essay question asks a question, the thesis statement answers it. And then after the thesis statement, the rest of the essay actually develops the answer. It shows why you came up with that answer, and illustrates points that support that answer. Okay, and then of course, as usual, reply to 2 other students that if you do all these 5 things, you will earn full credit, right? For your discussion forum posts. All right, let's go into this essay 2, how to draft and how to use MLA. So now this is a lot of information, but again, just read it as needed and watch it as needed. Some of you may know this stuff already from high school or other classes you've taken. You might know that MLA format, the Modern Language Association format. That's what that MLA stands for. We talked about it with essay 4 also, so you may remember some of it then. And all that information on how to do those in-text citations, that's the parenthetical ones I was talking about right here, using MLA in-text citations. Because this is something different, creating an MLA works cited page. You did not do that for essay 1, but for essay 2 you will. And all that means is that you provide bibliographic information for the sources of the quotations that you use in your essay. All right? And you need to use at least three different sources in your essay. And they can be any 3 sources from weeks 5, 6, and 7. If you want to use something that's in addition to that, you can, but you have to use at least 3, either readings, videos, or websites with graphics that we did for weeks 5, 6, and 7. All right, so whichever 3 of those are, they'll be in your MLA Works Cited page. If you use a source in addition to those 3 in your essay, like you quote something from something else that's not in those, you also put that on your MLA Works Cited page. So anyway, this is where you find out how to do that. And then down here we have Purdue Owl's MLA Formatting and Style Guide. That's, again, additional information on parenthetical citations and the Works Cited page if you still have more questions. Of course, you can always reach out to me if you have questions. Please do so. I'm always available through email. Now, I also included the sample student essay analysis video that I had made for week 4, and it's on similar topics as this essay, so you may want to rewatch that. And then here's the sample student essay that I had posted during week 4 too, which is a literal actual essay of another student from a different class with I'm not really even sure what exact assignment it was, but it does draw from the readings that we've been doing and on those concepts, so that'll be fun to read. Ooh, there we go. Here it is. You may remember it from that week. All right, I'm going to go back to that folder. Up here, we have how to draft a thesis statement and essay, the writing process, brainstorming for writing, and how to draft an essay. Those are important reads for you because, well, some of them are videos actually, because they will teach you how to do the things that we're doing this week, the activities, which is drafting a thesis statement and, well, an essay question first, and then the thesis statement to answer the essay question, and drafting an essay, period. You did write an essay already for week 4, but this week I'm actually not having you turn in the final version of the essay 2. That will be next week. This week we're going to be drafting the essay, and what I mean by drafting is it's kind of like a rehearsal for essay 2. So a draft can be messy. In fact, it should be messy. You should write a lot in it, come up with a lot of ideas. It's kind of like a free write in a sense, but how it differs from a pure free write is that you are going to be starting the essay with an essay question and a thesis statement. So it's much more focused than that free write. However, you can still put lots of ideas in there, and your ideas may even change, in fact. So may your essay question and your thesis statement. They may change from the draft this week to next week's final version, and that's okay. In fact, you know what? We want this to be a process. We want this to be a writing process. And that means you're